Hey guys, it's Sam, and since we are halfway through the year, I wanted to do a check-in on my reading goals, because a lot of the goals for 2020 I had for before the end of June, basically, so I set a lot of mid-year goals. So I want to reflect on those and what I was able to achieve, and then talk about my reading goals for the last half of the year as well. So I do want to point out that due to circumstances that I would have never foreseen at the beginning of 2020, I've already surpassed my yearly reading goal, which was 52 books. I've already read 62 books in half a year. So that is something I know I won't be able to sustain for the whole rest of the year, but I'll talk about like end of the year reading goals and such. But let me get into all of the goals that I had for this first half of the year. So the first major goal was that I wanted to either read or DNF all of the books that were on my physical TBR from before 2019. So anything that I'd gotten that was on my physical TBR, with a few exceptions. There's a couple of books that are sequels that the last book isn't like announced yet, so I've talked about those before. Those I don't include. I haven't even unpacked those when I moved, but all the books that were on my actual physical TBR that I had gotten before 2019 I wanted to read. There were 10 of those. So we have Way of Kings, which I did read. We have The Slow Regard of Silent Things, which I actually decided not to read because my friend Kayla of Bookadoodles, who's read this series as far as what's all out so far, said that this is actually best to read after the second book, and the second book is one that I don't plan on reading until the third book is announced, so I decided to put this one off. Then we have The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, which I did read. We have The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, which I think I might have unhauled. So this is a book that I had started reading, DNF'd like a couple of years ago, I think, had planned to read, but I think in the move I might have been like, actually I don't want to continue reading it, or it's in my boxes somewhere. But I kind of left this in like a if I find it after I move the next time, because that's when I'm going to actually unpack my full bookshelves. Down here, where you can't see, there's no books. So when I unpack my full shelves and I'm fully moved into a place I'll be more permanently, it might be somewhere then, but I don't think it is. So I'm not counting this one. Then we have Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey, which I read. We have The Shadowed Sun by N.K. Jemisin, which I did read. We have The Phoenix Empress by K. Arlesnott Rivera, which I did read. And we have Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Egan, which I DNF'd. So I did achieve that goal with the exception of the one that I'm putting off, but I don't count that. So, did that. Then I had a goal of getting my physical TBR under 30 books by the end of June. Blew that out of the water. At the beginning of the year I was really worried about being able to do this, and then, you know, like lockdown happened, so I actually got under 30 books by March 24th. I got under 20 books by April 27th, and as of today I have 6 books from my TBR that I had at the beginning of the year. So that's wonderful. I did kind of say that I wanted to get my TBR to 0 by the end of June. I did a video about that like halfway through the first half of this year. So anyway, like in like March or something. And I didn't quite get there, but I'm also fine with that because yeah, it's fine. I will get to this probably before I start working again. So I will have gotten to that 0 TBR, 0 physical TBR goal. Then I wanted to complete at least 5 series, and I said 5 of the series that I wanted to complete, and I did do that. So that was the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, the Dream Blood duology by N.K. Jemisin, the Amberlow dossier by Laura Elena Donnelly, the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black, and the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. I actually ended up completing 9 series before the end of June. So the 4 additional ones were the Kingdom on Fire series by Jessica Cluess, the Tyrling trilogy by Erica Johansson, the Books of Amba series by Tasha Suri, and the Nevernight trilogy by Jay Kristoff. So those were all of my first half of the year reading goals, and I achieved all of them and like blew them all out of the water pretty much. So with that whole series thing, let's get into my second half of the year goals. So as I mentioned in my beginning of the year video, one of the things I also wanted to get done this year was catch up on all of the graphic novel series that I have started. I didn't do that at the beginning half of the year, but I didn't set that for a beginning half of the year goal. That was always a later half of the year goal, so that still rings true. Those series are Saga, Descender, The Wicked and the Divine, and Monstrous, and I talk about that in my other video, which is already linked on the screen. So my big goal, even though I'm not changing my reading goal on Goodreads, is now to probably try to read 100 books by the end of the year. I think I'll be able to do that because, like I said, I'm at 62 right now. I foresee probably a month or 2 more of being able to read at this pace, maybe before I start working. I don't know. I don't really know when I'll start working. I think it'll be in the next like couple of months. So then it'll go back down to reading like 4 books a month instead of like 12. So that's going to change things up a bit, but I think I might be able to do it. That's kind of like my stretch reading goal. Really, no matter what, I already obtained my reading goal achieved it because I read the 52 I wanted to read, but like that's kind of my stretch goal. And then I do really want to focus on series for the rest of the year goals wise. So I do have 4 series that I have started that I want to complete that are already completed series themselves. So those series are finished and all the books are written, and I want to catch up and complete those series. Those 4 series are The Imperial Rocked, I think is how you pronounce it, by Anne Leckie. I have 2 books left in this series. The Falconer Trilogy by Elizabeth May. I also have 2 books left in this series. The Greatcoat series by Sebastian de Castell. I have 3 books left in the Greatcoat series, and Their Bright Ascendancy by Kay Arsenault Rivera. And this is the final book in the Their Bright Ascendancy. Then there are 3 currently ongoing series that I do want to catch up on. That is the Second Era of the Mistborn Trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I have 2 books left to catch up on. The Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I have 1 book that I haven't read in this series. And the Song of Shattered Sands by Bradley Baleo. I have 3 books that I haven't read in this series, I think is how many are out, because 1 just came out, but I think there's 3 that I haven't read. Then I sort of have a stretch goal for this, like, I want to catch up, but not catch up completely necessarily kind of category. And this is all dependent on, again, how much reading time I do have, because some of these series are going to take up a ton of time, and I don't want to spend my time only reading series that I have started. I want to be able to like do new stuff, read new authors, things like that. So this is like, I'd like it, but if I don't hit these, I'm not going to consider my goals like not achieved, you know? So I want to read 3 more books in the Expanse series. There's 5 currently out that I haven't read, and then 1 more is coming out that I think it was the end of the series, but I want to maybe read 3 more of this series this year. And then this is like a big one. The Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. There's 2 books that I haven't read that I would like to catch up on, and then a 3rd book that I haven't read, so the 4th book in the series is coming out in November. A lot of people are doing like readathons to catch up on these books. I just don't know if I'll be able to. Like 1,000 pages, especially once I start working, is just like a lot. But I'd like to. I would love to catch up on the 2 books that are currently out and then maybe read the last book before the end of the year. I don't know. That one is like super stretch goal. So in general, I just want to catch up on a ton of series. I have 18 as of my spreadsheet, like currently ongoing series that I really want to finish and catch up on. And then I have, I think about like 10 other ones that I've put kind of in limbo that like I don't really want to prioritize those, but I haven't considered them like DNF'd series, but like they're books that I would maybe want to get to and series I maybe want to get to after I finish these ones that are like I'm really excited about. So yeah, who knows? That's like my next big goal, to kind of catch up on things, but still give myself some wiggle room to read other things, because if I read all these books that I said I kind of wanted to read from series, that's 19 books. And then I have 19 other books for the rest of the books that I want to read this year if I want to get to 100. That could be other things. So kind of what I'm going for. My last goal is to read at minimum 1 book by a Black author per month. Now I've already done this without even trying to this year. So I've read 6 books by Black authors so far. So at least a minimum of 1 a month, which is like the bare minimum that I want to do. I average 2 books by authors of color in general per month. And I was interested too, because when I looked at this, I thought like, wow, I think I've read more books by Black authors, but it turns out I've read 12 books featuring Black main characters, but only 6 of those were by Black authors. So I think that's kind of interesting too. But I just want to make sure continuing throughout the rest of the year that I make that an active priority. So I'm sure I'll read more than 1 book per month by Black authors, but I want to at least make sure I'm hitting 1 book by a Black author per month minimum. And I'm much more able to do that now too, because I'm not just going off of the books that are on my physical TBR. I can kind of branch out and buy whatever that I need to read, and books by Black authors that I've been hearing about but just haven't been buying because I've been trying to get my TBR down. So now that that like self-inflicted burden is off my shoulders of my TBR, I kind of have a little bit more freedom. So I think that'll be really fun. I'm actually gonna be talking with my patrons especially about like how to pick books that they are going to be voting on, because I won't have this like physical TBR that I usually have them choose from. So that'll be interesting as well. So if you want to get in on really having a lot of impact on things that I'll read and like books that I'll even like buy and everything, check out my Patreon, because we're gonna be making changes there as far as the voting and everything. So that is it for my reading goals for the first half of the year and what I hope to achieve in the second half of the year. Comment below, let me know how your reading goals so far in the year have gone, and if you have any end of the year reading goals that you are trying to get to as well. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.